Machado line into left center. That's a base hit. Profar rounding third, going to score easily to tie the game. Cronenworth is being waved. He's on his way. He's going to score. Not only have they tied it, they've come all the way back to go in front. And the Padres now lead it 6-5. A 2-run double for Manny Machado.
Clutchado comes through with a big double.
Manny Machado, clutch indeed. What a rally, what a comeback for the Padres in Game 1 of this doubleheader in Atlanta. The final score, the Padres 6 and the Braves 5. The Padres trailed 5-0 after 3 innings in this game. They score 1 in the 5th inning, 1 in the 7th inning, and they explode for 4 runs in the 8th inning to go on and win it by a final score of 6-5. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios here on the Padres Radio Network. Our first post-game show of the afternoon. We've got a lot to do still on this Monday. We've got Game 2 of this doubleheader coming up in a little bit. We'll have our pregame coverage for that one at 2:20, a post-game show after that. But we have a lot to discuss in our first post-game show of the day as the Padres win Game 3 of this series by a final score of 6-5, and the Padres now an opportunity to sweep this series. A lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in just a little bit. We'll have all the radio highlights for you, break down this game in its entirety, get through our daily awards. We may even squeeze some phone calls in, get to your tweets, DMs, and comments. But first, some initial thoughts for you, some instant reaction after this 6-5 win. This was a great example of what a good team does, and that is picking up your teammate. Dylan Cease started this game for the Padres. He was not at his best. Gave up 5 runs in 4 innings, and after just 3 innings in this game, the Padres were down 5-0. And I'll admit, at that point, down 5-0, you have Logan Gillespie, the 27th man today for the doubleheader, coming in. A sunny day in Atlanta. You've got one more game coming up. You'll still have an opportunity to win the series in the nightcap of the doubleheader if you lose Game 1. I'll be honest with you, I was sitting here in the studio saying, you know what, probably not their game in Game 1 of this doubleheader. But the Padres did today what a good team does, and they picked up their teammate, Dylan Cease. They're down 5-0 after 3 innings, and there are 2 units that deserve a lot of credit for this win. Number 1, the offense. The offense found a way to chip away. They scored 1 in the 5th inning to make it 5-1. They scored 1 in the 7th inning to make it 5-2. And those 2 rallies started against the right-hander, Reynaldo Lopez, who was really good today for the Braves. He ends up going 6 innings and a third, 2 runs given up. He was very good, but the Padres, like Tony alluded to late in the broadcast and during the wrap-up, the Padres continue to put together quality at-bats as the game went along. So they chip away, 1 in the 5th inning, 1 in the 7th inning to make it 5-2. Then against the bullpen and Joe Jimenez on the mound for the Braves in the 8th inning, they continued those quality at-bats. And when they had really their one big opportunity to strike, to tie the game, to take a lead, they did it. They came through in those spots. You had the walk to Kim to start that 8th inning, a 1-out single by Fernando. Then Jurickson Profar walks, Jake Cronenworth a 2-run single to make it a 1-run game, and then Manny Machado steps in, gives the Padres the lead with a 2-run double. And just like that, in the blink of an eye, the Padres had a 6-5 lead. So the offense continuing to put together quality at-bats, continuing to do it against Reynaldo Lopez, even though the results as far as the runs weren't quite there through 6-7 innings. That was a huge part of this win. So that's group number 1 that deserves a ton of credit. Group number 2, the Padre bullpen, and some guys you didn't expect to have this kind of impact in this game. Dylan Cease, again, not his best outing, 5 runs given up in 4 innings. But with the Padres trailing 5-1, Logan Gillespie, the 27th man of the roster today, and you totally understood the Padres using him because they still need to save guys for Game 2 of the doubleheader, and they're down 5-0, 5-1 at that point. You understood it. Gillespie comes in, 2 scoreless innings in the 5th and 6th. Johnny Brito, after the Padres make it a 3-run game with a run in the top of the 7th inning, a scoreless bottom half of the inning. And then After the Padres get the 4 runs in the 8th inning to take the lead, Jeremiah Estrada, a 1-2-3 8th inning, struck out 2. Robert Suarez does what Robert Suarez usually does, and that's a quick and easy 1-2-3 9th inning. The bullpen combined in this game, 5 innings, no runs given up. They were tremendous. So when you look at this game, yes, the comeback, huge. But what the bullpen did to keep it a 5-1 game, to keep it a 5-2 game, and then get the final 6 outs to protect a 1-run lead, they were outstanding in this game. And now it sets up an opportunity to sweep a series, a 4-game series in Atlanta. A lot of work to do in the nightcap, but look, I'll be honest with you. Right now, game 2 of this doubleheader, you'll want it if you're a Padres fan. But at the same time, it's a little bit kind of gravy. You know, it would be the cherry on top of this series because I think at the start of this series, anybody would have signed up for the Padres taking 3 out of 4. So an excellent win here today. You love the fight. We've seen the Padres do this really a bunch of times early this season. I mean, we can go back to a number of different games. We can go back to the 8-0 deficit against the Cubs. The Padres have done this before in the first third of this season. They've shown a capability to battle back in games, and they did it once again here today. So really, really good win. And again, I think 2 units deserve credit. The offense and the bullpen, both of them, just a terrific job. And one more thought on the bullpen. It goes back to something we talked about on Friday when Robert Suarez pitched the 8th inning. Then Jeremiah Estrada got the save opportunity and recorded his first major league save in the 9th inning on Friday. One thing we talked about post-game on Friday after that happened in the bullpen against the Braves in that win was it opened the avenue really for 2 things with what Jeremiah Estrada did. Number one, it opened the avenue if the Padres ever need to do something again like that with Robert Suarez, and they want to pitch him against the heart of a good order, and then give Estrada the 9th inning, they could do that, right? But the other thing it did was it gave you more confidence in Jeremiah Estrada in a spot like he came in today, where it's a 1-run game. The Padres have had trouble getting a bona fide guy in that setup 8th inning role, a close game, somebody who's been consistent, somebody they can rely on. And Jeremiah Estrada, at least for today, emerged as that candidate. And you can't tell me that what he did on Friday night didn't give this team some confidence that he could do what he did today in the 8th inning. And Estrada comes in, 1-2-3 innings, strikes out 2, sets the stage, a smooth path to Robert Suarez for the save in the 9th inning. So that development on Friday, you could already see it here today. And a big win, no doubt about it. Padres win it 6-5. When we come back on our post-game show, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll also have all the radio highlights for you, recap this game in its entirety, and much, much more to come as the Padres have gone to Atlanta after getting swept by the Rockies to begin last week. Well, they've bounced back. They've responded in a really big way. 3 straight wins in Atlanta. Padres will go now for a doubleheader sweep tonight in Atlanta and a 4-game sweep of the Braves. More post-game coverage after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today in Game 1 of our doubleheader. Padres 6, the Braves 5. The Padres trailed. They were down, but they were never out. And we'll recap this game in its entirety in just a moment. We'll also go back to Truist Park in Atlanta, hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. So a lot to do. Sam Levitt with you here in our San Diego studios. As we wrap up Game 1, we will get you ready for Game 2. Here's the schedule coming up here on 97.3 The Fan in the next 2 hours. I'm going to get through postgame here relatively quickly. Then towards the top of the hour, Chris Ello will be in here. He's going to have a show. I'm sure he'll talk Padres, whatever else he wants to discuss, for probably a little bit more than an hour. And then we'll get back into Padres radio, 2:20 p.m. pregame start time. I'll do my usual 50 minutes of pregame. Jesse and Tony will talk to you at 3:10 for Game 2 of the doubleheader, and then a full postgame show after Game 2. So this is show number 2 of 4 for me on the day. So far, so good. One postgame show, one Padres win. We'll see if the Padres can get the sweep a little bit later this afternoon. This was one heck of a win for San Diego in Game 1 of this doubleheader. Let's break it down.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
The Braves offense was rolling early on. They got to Dylan Cease in the first inning. Back-to-back singles to start the game for Atlanta. There were runners on first and third for Matt Olson.
First and third, one away, 2-0 to Olson. Here's the pitch. That is lined into right field and a base hit. Acuna will come in to score easily. Fernando gets to it quickly, and Wright fires into second base. That'll hold Olson to a single, but it's an RBI single, and the Braves have a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the first inning, as Atlanta has their first lead since the first inning on Friday night.
Braves weren't done. Later in the inning, it was Michael Harris.
Cease. Long pause at the belt, delivers, and first pitch swinging, little floater into shallow left, and that jam shot will get down for a base hit. Albies comes in to score, and the Brave lead is now 2-0.
2 runs on 4 hits against Cease in the first inning. Padres still trailed 2-0. Heading bottom 3, Marcell Ozuna led off.
Although there is more stuff now. 3-2 hit really well out to deep left field. Profar is going back to chase it. He's at the wall looking up, and it's going to go. Home run, Marcell Ozuna, his team leading 13th of the season. And the Braves in front now 3-0 here in the third.
Matt Olson then went deep to make it back-to-back home runs. It was 4-0 Atlanta. Braves would get another run in that inning to make it 5-0. Meanwhile, Braves starter Reynaldo Lopez took that lead into the 5th inning. Padres got on the board. Manny Machado led off with a double, went to third base on a bunt, then scored on an RBI ground out from Jackson Merrill. It was 5-1. Dylan Cease would go just 4 innings in this game. He gave up 5 runs. Lopez took the mound for the top of the 7th inning. The Braves still ahead 5-1. Padres got 2 on with nobody out. Lopez would come out of the game. Lefty A.J. Minter entered.
Runners lead. Minter ready. The pitch is lined sharply into center field and a base hit. Profar rounding third on his way. Here comes the throw from Harris. It is high and not in time. Nice piece of hitting, Jackson Merrill. An RBI single, and now a 5-2 game here in the 7th.
The Padres still trailed 5-2 midway through the 7th. Logan Gillespie pitched 2 scoreless innings out of the bullpen after Cease. Johnny Brito pitched the scoreless bottom of the 7th inning. Those scoreless innings were vital because the Padres offense, trailing 5-2, well, they exploded in the 8th inning against righty Joe Jimenez. A leadoff walk for Ha-Sung Kim. A 1-out single for Fernando Tatis Jr. A walk for Jurickson Profar. Jake Cronenworth dug in with the bases loaded.
Yet another crack at him here. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Cronenworth muscles it into center field and a base hit. Kim will come in to score. Tatis rounding third. He's going to score a 2-run single for Jake Cronenworth. This is a 1-run game in the 8th inning.
Padres still trailing 5-4. There were still 2 on base for Manny Machado.
Pitch to Machado, line into left center. That's a base hit. Profar rounding third, going to score easily to tie the game. Cronenworth is being waved. He's on his way. He's going to score. Not only have they tied it, they've come all the way back to go in front. and the Padres now lead it 6-5. A 2-run double for Manny Machado.
Clutchado comes through with the big double.
A 4-run 8th inning. The Padres once trailed 5-0. They had come back to take a 6-5 lead. Again, 1 in the 5th inning, 1 in the 7th inning, and 4 in the 8th inning. So the question became, could the Padres bullpen make a 1-run lead hold up? Jeremiah Estrada in the bottom half of the 8th inning. He came on a 1-2-3 inning. He struck out 2. Robert Suarez, perfect in save opportunities this season. You guessed it. He made it look as easy as 1-2-3 in the 9th.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Kelnick in the air, straight away left field, shallow. And Ozokar over towards the line now, makes the catch, and the ball game is over. Robert Suarez, a 1-2-3, bottom of the 9th, with some defensive help from Kim and Cronenworth. And the Padres win their 3rd straight here in Atlanta. A come-from-behind 6-5 win. They will go for the 4-game sweep tonight in Game 2 of the doubleheader.
And you heard Jesse mention it. Some great defense in that 9th inning as well from the Padres. Ha-Sung Kim making an outstanding catch in shallow center on a pop-up. Jay Cronenworth made a nice play, and Robert Suarez got through a 1-2-3 9th inning. Save number 13 in as many opportunities for Suarez. Johnny Brito picked up the win, and the Padres won it 6-5 in Atlanta. Padres now 25-24. Braves 26-17. Padres will go for a 4-game sweep in Game 2 of this doubleheader. Let's go back to Truist Park in Atlanta and hear some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
I know you expect this by now, but all the things that were happening in that game, for that big inning, those quality at bats to happen, what did you think of the way you guys performed today?
Oh my gosh, I love this team. I just love this team, man. I love its grit. Like team grit. It's the definition of winners finding solutions. Let's give first credit to the bullpen. Gillespie coming in and keeping it right there. They put some good at bats on Cease. They were able to put some runs up, and but Gillespie comes in, gets a donut for 2 innings, leaves some traffic out there, keeps it at 5. Brito does his part. And then here comes the offense. Let's give credit to a lot of the guys there. Even waiting, the bunt, great idea, get something going. We're down, makes a nice play. Albies gets there by eyelash, but it gets him to 3rd. Now ground ball scores him, and doesn't seem like a big deal, but it gets on the board and gets a little momentum. And then, the at bats later. Kimmy had great at bats. Pro, as typical, has his good bats, and then Crony, what a sweet stroke. And here comes Manny, doing Manny things, which is really big for us. I think he's been in a good place. Manny's helped us win some games, not only with the bat today, but, he's played some really good defense. He ran the bases really well, too. And I know that's not the sexiest thing people want to talk about, but he scored from second yesterday. He's just done a lot of intangible baseball things that have helped contribute as well. And today he did it with his bat.
Before we get into the pitching, Xander, what's the update?
Well, so far, we're going to get some more imaging, but the initial imaging is negative, so it's positive. He's got stability more than it looked like he might have, and he's got some strength and some range of motion. So, more time will tell, but at least the initial feedback is, initially best case scenario. Shoulder.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you know right away?
Yeah, you could just tell by the body language, And by the way, huge play, because that stops the run, and that ended up being a big deal. So he contributed in this ball game, and helped us out for sure.
Regardless of who was coming up, for a while it was Wandy in the 8th, and now today it was Jeremiah. Mm-hmm. Did he earn himself more opportunities?
I think he's earned himself more opportunity. I think it was the lane we liked as well, with the handiness. But yeah, he earned himself more opportunities, and there was a good matchups for him.
Dylan just leaving too many pitches where he doesn't usually?
Yeah, I think so. Just not able to repeat. His stuff was good. The basketball had life to it. Slider was good. They just they were coming out swinging, and were able to get on him early and ambush him a little bit early in counts, and then he got behind us in counts.
Jimenez hadn't given up more than 2 runs in an inning all season. For you to get 4 runs off him in that one inning, just how good is that for your offense?
Yeah, it just speaks well. I mean, guys had a clear plan, and then it's a matter of the execution. And he's tough. He's one of their better guys for sure, and has had a nice year. And he's a good pitcher. So we just look to take good at bats and get the bottom of the lineup get started, and we turn it over. And Crony and Manny did their thing.
How's Kimmich catch?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Sometimes we overlook it, but always put like a plus defensive play. And I got double plus, could easily got a triple plus. I mean, that was an amazing play, especially the timing of it, leading off the ninth, 1-run ball game. Was that? Yeah, the sun, everything. I mean, just as good a play as you're going to see. He's the absolute, magician with that glove. It was a big play.
To follow up on Alexander, if follow-up imaging is also negative, do you think he can avoid an IL?
I think it's probably too early to tell. I mean, we'll see how he recovers with the soreness, but if the imaging is negative and he recovers well, it is more of a day-to-day situation, so we'll play it by ear. Certainly Crony made another nice play in the ninth as well. Big play. So, team win, all phases.
Seems like Crony's having a really good series. I think he has 5 RBIs so far this series. What are you seeing from him?
More the same what he's done this year, just taking good at bats, using the big part of the field, not trying to do too much, good approach, good swing the match.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after this 6-5 win for the Padres against the Atlanta Braves. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. And something I should have mentioned in the opening couple of segments here, of course, Xander Bogaerts did come out of today's game with what looked like a left shoulder injury, diving for a ball, a ground ball to his left, and immediately was in a lot of pain and came right out of the game. So the update there for Mike Shildt on Xander, and quite frankly, it did look pretty serious, just based on his reaction and him coming right out of the game. Mike Shildt confirming it is a shoulder injury, said that the initial imaging was negative, but does sound like there will be additional imaging done. So we'll see what that is in the coming days, but that is the latest update on Xander Bogaerts after he came out of this game after diving for a ball to his left. So it didn't look great at the time. Good to hear that the initial imaging is negative, and sounded like maybe a little hope there that maybe it's not as serious as initially thought, or maybe this could be more of a day-to-day situation. But again, I'd imagine the additional imaging, that'll play a role in what the ultimate decision is for Xander Bogaerts. So look, we talked about picking up your teammates, right, in the opening segment, what the Padres did for Dylan Cease today. Well, without Xander in the lineup, he went out about midway through this game. Well, you know what? They found a way to get it done with Xander going out with the injury. So another really, really resilient part of this win here in the opener of this doubleheader. All right, when we come back, we'll continue to break down this game, and we will talk about what was an absolutely outstanding performance by the Padres bullpen in this one. We'll have our relief pitcher of the game. Quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll cycle in some of your comments, tweets, DMs. If you want to hit me up on Twitter or Instagram, you can do that at Sammy Lev, SAMMYLEV, on both those platforms. Let me know what you thought about this game. I may just read your tweet, your DM, or your message live here on the air. We do have time for phone calls, 833-288-0973, the phone number there if you want to get involved. Final score, Padres 6, Braves 5 on the Padres Radio Network.
She did ballet. What more can I
Our
say?
post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you here inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Final score here today, Padres 6 and the Braves 5. Let's tell you about our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
Our relief pitcher of the game here today, we really could go with a number of different options. You could go with Robert Suarez, who continues to be perfect in save opportunities, now 13 for 13. The guy's got a 0.44 ERA on the year. You could go with Jeremiah Estrada, who pitched a 1-2-3 8th inning, struck out 2 in a one-run game in what looked to be maybe a new setup role for Jeremiah. You could also pick Johnny Brito, scoreless 7th inning. After the Padres made it a 3-run deficit, kept it right there. But our relief pitcher of the game here today is Logan Gillespie, who came up as the 27th man today. And at the time, it didn't seem like maybe a huge deal because the Padres were down 5-1. But he came in, pitched a scoreless 5th inning, a scoreless 6th inning, 2 scoreless innings, kept it at a 5-1 deficit, and that ended up being the start of 5 scoreless innings for this bullpen here today. He was great. And for that reason, 27th man on the roster for the doubleheader, you're telling me he comes up 2 scoreless innings on a day where the bullpen played a really, really important role in this win, in this comeback? Logan Gillespie, you are the relief pitcher of the game in this one. No doubt about it. Terrific work by Gillespie as the Padres win it 6-5 over the Atlanta Braves. We'll step aside here on the Padres Radio Network. We'll come back, the out-of-town scoreboard, cycle through some of your comments, your DMs, your tweets, and much more to come. Final score, Padres win it 6-5. They go for a sweep of the Braves later tonight on the Padres Radio Network.
Hey everybody, it's Gray here for Gwen and Chris. If you're searching for a healthcare provider, you know it's not very fun at all. Kaiser Permanente has 29 facilities around the county and 3 hospitals, which is great because if I need to pick up my prescriptions, I can order them to the closest Kaiser Permanente location to me. And if you're going for an appointment and you need lab work, you don't have to go anywhere else. You just walk down the hall and get your lab work done. They have the most care for you, all under one roof. For more information, go to kp.org/San Diego. Kaiser Permanente, for all that is you.
Energy efficient windows, total roofing protection, and exterior house painting. It's all here at Genesis Home Improvements. With over 19 years of experience and a reputation built on trust and customer satisfaction, Genesis Home Improvements is your go-to partner for all your home improvement needs. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Lifetime warranty on all products. 100% financing. No money down. It's time to breathe new life into your home. Save 15% today. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsST.com.
Don't strike out with Padres game day traffic. Ride the coaster train to San Diego Padres games this season. The coaster train runs nearly every hour on weekdays, plus 20 trips on weekends and extra trains on game days for the fans. Let NCTD pinch hit for you and leave the driving to us. Visit GoNCTD.com. Ride the coaster train to San Diego Padres games this season to get there and back safely. Hit a home run at GoNCTD.com/Padres.
Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Padres beat the Atlanta Braves 6-5 on this Monday afternoon. To open up this twin billing in Atlanta, Padres have now won the first 3 games of this series. They'll go for a series sweep, a 4-game sweep of the Braves a little bit later on this afternoon. First pitch at 3:20 in Game 2. Our starting pitching matchup, Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres, Chris Sale on the mound for the Braves. A lot to do on our post-game coverage still. We'll have our play of the game, our player of the game coming up in just a bit. We'll also take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. But while we have a moment, let's quickly squeeze in a phone call or two, 833-288-0973. The phone number to call, 833-288-0973. The phone number to call. Let's go up to Carlsbad. It's Brandon on the Padres post-game show. Hi, Brandon.
Sammy Lev, what it do?
What's up? What's up?
Hey, man, real quick. Good to talk to you again. I've talked to you after wins and losses. You know, man, it's just, here we go again. We play up when we need to, and we play down when we shouldn't. And it shows you the depth of talent and tenacity that this team has when they all link together and they all believe in one another, and they're at such a great place like the Atlanta Braves house, and they can go and pull these things off. It's a little frustrating. I'm always going to be a Friar faithful, but I think at the end of the day, Sammy, we're all just going like, okay, man, like, where is our identity? Like, we know what we can do. Can we just stick to it like all the greats do? You know, I hate to say it, but the Dodgers, the Yanks, and the teams like that make a way. So I just want some consistency. I'm stoked. Hopefully we can get the sweep. God bless you. Have a great day.
All right, Brandon, appreciate the phone call. Look, when you zoom out, you look at the week, the past week, getting swept by the Rockies and what they did against the Braves the first 3 games of this series, and still more work to do. Look, it does make you wonder, like, is it the same team, right? They got swept by the Rockies at home and then plays the way they've played in this series against the Braves. And look, the first 2 games of this series, well, all 3, really, they've been different. You had the game, a close game on Friday night where you had just enough offense. The bullpen came through, great bullpen management. You had the game last night where you got up big, never look back, terrific pitching performance. This was a different one here today where, number one, your starting pitching was not great from Dylan Cease. You were down 5-0. They found a way to battle back, and they deserve credit for that. But yeah, look, I think one thing moving forward, despite the last 3 wins, Padres got to play better at home, and they got to play better against teams that you feel they should be able to beat. But at the same time, doesn't take anything away from what they've done in Atlanta. A tweet here from Snacks82. What a great first game. This is not the same 2023 team. They play hard and until the end. Super excited with the win today. Look, I've tried to avoid in the past couple of weeks here making too many comparisons to 2023 and last season, because I think at some point you got to start treating them as 2 different teams and seasons. But with that said, look, a lot of the same guys are here, and because of the disappointment of last season, there are a lot of correlations that you make between last year and this year in trying to at least identify differences between the 2 teams. And I'll say this. This team, despite being a game above 500 at 25-24, okay, you wish the record was better, but meanwhile, they've won 3 in a row. They're back above 500. This team has certainly won some games that you don't feel like they would have won a year ago. I mean, you can point to a bunch of them, even beyond here today with the 5-0 deficit. You can point to the 8-0 deficit against the Cubs. There are some others as well. There are certainly some games from just a comeback, fighting back perspective that this team has shown an ability to win and string together hits from behind that last year it didn't seem like they had a ton of ability to do. So, look, again, I'm very impressed with what they did here today, picking up Dylan Cease and fighting back in this game. And now you got an opportunity to really make a statement in Atlanta and make this a 4-game sweep and move 2 games above 500 and, head into Cincinnati with some real momentum. We'll see if they can do it. Let's squeeze in one more phone call. We go to Ben calling in. Hi, Ben.
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well, Ben. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm happy after the win, right? But I just got one problem. Mr. Shildt, what are you doing keeping him at shortstop and then Bogarts at second? I think we need to get a switch back if Bogarts is even healthy anymore.
Look, Ben, I think you've called in about this before after, I think, wins too. Like, At this, forget the injury for a second, because that's a totally different conversation now, depending on what the injury is for Bogaerts, how bad it is, what the additional imaging shows. Look, the Padres may need somebody to play second base for a little bit here. So, but even forgetting about the injury, all things being healthy, look, Bogaerts is playing second base. I know Kim made the error today. I don't see that changing. Now, if you want to tell me that it's been a tough transition to second for Xander, I think he's been pretty solid there. If you want to tell me that's affected his offense, I guess that's a theory I could buy. But from the defensive perspective, despite Ha-Sung Kim not being as sharp this year at shortstop, at least early on, I mean, you made the move to switch him and put Kim at shortstop. You don't flip that after 50 games. I just don't think I don't think it's gone so poorly defensively that you would now switch him back. Now, if you would tell me that helps Xander Bogaerts hit 315 on the year, maybe I'll listen to that. But I don't see it as a major issue. So, Ben, I think you've called about that before. I don't have a great answer for you. It's what they decided to do during spring training. It's the way things are right now, and I don't think it's changing. Let's go to Mike calling in from Temecula. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Sammy. Pleasure talking to you, man. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm loving the ebbs and flows of the team. You're like high-fiving everybody, then all of a sudden you're like, what the heck's going on with the Colorado series? And this is baseball in a nutshell, dude. You're going to have your highs, you're going to have your lows. And I'm really enjoying the season because we shouldn't be where we're at right now. If you listen to all the analysts, the way they picked everybody for the beginning of the year, I think AJ's hitting on some of his trades and whatnot. And Bogaerts, I really hope he is going to be a solid piece of our team. Yes, he has not the best of batting average, but he's a professional's professional. He knows he's making the big money. He wants to prove he's worth every dime of it. So people that rag on him, I think you're just being too jumpy. And all I got to say is I would love a sweep, but this is the Padres. Who knows what's going to happen? And what kind of champagne we drinking at the end of the year, Sammy?
Well, Mike, I hope it's sweet champagne. We've got a long way to go until we're worried about champagne. Look, with Xander right now, I mean, obviously in the context of his season, his contract, all that kind of stuff, I think that's a discussion for another day. I think the primary concern right now is what is the extent of this injury. Again, initial imaging, according to Mike Shildt, was negative, but it sounds like there's going to be more imaging. It sounds like right now they feel like it's best case scenario as far as stability that he feels, and maybe there's a little hope that he could avoid the IL, but it sounded like there's more imaging to come, which may give you a better picture of what exactly they're dealing with. So, look, but no doubt Xander in the big picture of this season for this franchise, yes, very, very important, and it has been a very up and down first 49 games of the year. This game coming up is number 50. It's been up and down quite literally. They're a game above 500, so we'll see if they can win the final game. I mean, look, the good news really is two things. Number one, at bare minimum, you've now won this series, which I think at the start of the series, everybody, would have taken. And number two, you won a game here in game one of this doubleheader that you really felt like you had no business winning for a while there. You're trailing 5-0. You've got Logan Gillespie in the game, the 27th man, up today for the doubleheader. You kind of felt like you stole this one. So don't get me wrong. You would love to sweep this series, and hopefully the Padres can, but they are in a good position entering the second game of this doubleheader. And before we just continue on here with our normal post-game segments, good point here in the chat from a number of different people, just to the previous caller on the Kim Bogaerts thing, which I think is not a discussion for today to begin with. But, let's give credit where credit's due. Did Ha-Sung Kim make an error in this game? He did. But did he also make an outstanding catch to start that ninth inning off the bat of Michael Harris? If that ball drops in, leadoff man is on. Winning run at the plate with nobody out. Who knows how this game turns out, how that bottom of the ninth inning turns out if Kim doesn't go out and make that great catch, really a sensational catch over the shoulder in the ninth inning. So, look, Ha-Sung, I know it hasn't been as sharp defensively, early on this year, but he shows you still many times what he can do. And I'd be willing to bet that when all is said and done, and as this season rolls along, that defense ends up being, for the most part, pretty darn good for Ha-Seong Kim. And again, that's a discussion for another day. And quite frankly, I don't think today really matters all that much as far as the Bogarts Kim second base and shortstop situation. Here today, Padres win it 6-5 over the Braves. Let's tell you about our player of the game.
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Patties and Pints. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
Player of the game here in the opener of this doubleheader. I'm giving it to Manny Machado. 2 reasons, 2 innings. Number one, the 5th inning. Padres are down 5-0. He hits a leadoff double. Manny ultimately came in to score to make it 5-1. That got the scoring started. That was the first part of the Padres chipping away at a 5-run deficit. Then in the 8th inning, Padres down by 1, 5-4. 2-run double. Padres take a 6-5 lead. So he was a key member in the initial run the Padres scored to make it 5-1. And then he drove in the tying and go-ahead runs in this game in the 8th inning. So, no doubt about it. Manny Machado, our player of the game, and we'll hear that 2-run double coming up in just a moment as well. Let's take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what else is going on around the majors on this Monday.
Let's take a trip around the bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at scores from around the major leagues today. Early games, so we've only got one other game going on right now. Everything else coming up later. Blue Jays ahead of the White Sox 4-2 in Toronto in the 4th inning. Other games coming up later. Brewers and the Marlins in Miami at 3:40. Mets and the Guardians in Cleveland later on this afternoon. Twins and the Nationals in D.C. at 3:45. Red Sox and the Rays in Tampa Bay at 3:50. Mariners in New York taking on the Yankees at 4:05. Tigers and the Royals in Kansas City at 4:40. Orioles and the Cardinals in St. Louis at 4:45. Angels and the Astros in Houston at 5:10. And finally, the Diamondbacks at the Dodgers in L.A. at 7:10. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Monday. Now let's hear our play of the game.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's play of the game. Presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Pitch to Machado, line into left center. That's a base hit. Grofar rounding third, going to score easily to tie the game. Cronenworth is being waved. He's on his way. He's going to score. Not only have they tied it, they've come all the way back to go in front. And the Padres now lead it 6-5. A 2-run double for Manny Machado.
Clutchado comes through with the big double.
No doubt about it. Manny Machado, the 2-run double in the 8th inning, capping that 4-run 8th, our play of the game. As the Padres storm back after trailing 5-0, they go on to win Game 1 of this doubleheader, 6-5. Padres now will go for a doubleheader sweep and a 4-game series sweep later on this afternoon in Atlanta. Before we get you ready for Game 2 and then go through the final totals and then hand things off to Chris Ello, who will keep you company until 2:20 for our second pregame show of the day, let's quickly pause for station ID on the Padres. Or no, we're not going to pause for station ID on the Padres radio network. Okay, I'm going to give you that station ID at some point here coming up here soon. All right, let's preview Game 2 quickly for you. Right-hander Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres in Game 2. It'll be left-hander Chris Sale on the mound for the Braves in Game 2 of this doubleheader. First pitch in Game 2 at 3:20, and our pregame coverage will begin in just more than an hour at 2:20. Taking a look at the final totals in Game 1 of today's doubleheader. For the Padres, 6 runs, 10 hits, 1 error. They left on 5. For the Braves, 5 runs, 12 hits, no errors. They left on 12. Winning pitcher was Johnny Brito, who improves to 1-2. Losing pitcher was Joe Jimenez, who drops to 1-1. And the save goes to Robert Suarez, his 13th of the season. Time of game, 2 hours, 43 minutes. And the crowd, 35,113 at Truist Park in Atlanta. All right, we will talk to you for Game 2. Okay, now we're going to take a legal ID on the Padres radio network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hi, this is Luis Camposano. The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 station, 97.3 The Fan.
An Odyssey Sports Station.
All right, Padres win it here today, 6-5 over the Atlanta Braves. We'll come back. It'll be Chris Ello taking you up until 2:20 after this on 97.3 The Fan.